My name is Lucas, and I'm a 39-year-old former operator at an Arctic research station. For 8 years, I managed the station in one of the most remote places on Earth. The isolation was intense, but it wasn't what made me leave. What drove me away was far more disturbing. It started in late December. The sun had set for the winter, plunging us into endless night. Our team was small, just 5 of us, and we were accustomed to the cold and darkness. We had plenty of supplies and tasks to keep us busy, but something felt different that year. One night, as I was logging data in the control room, I noticed a blip on the radar. It wasn't unusual to pick up odd signals, but this one was strange. It appeared to be moving towards us from the east, at a slow but steady pace. I radioed the team, but no one else could identify it. Maybe it's just a glitch, suggested Henry, our meteorologist. Could be. I agreed, though I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next day, the signal was still there, closer now. I decided to check the external cameras. What I saw made my blood run cold. A figure, barely visible against the snow, was moving towards the station. It was impossible to make out any details, but it was definitely human. Who could that be? Asked Natalie, the station's medic. We're hundreds of miles from the nearest settlement. I don't know, I replied, but we need to find out. As the figure approached, we prepared to meet them. The temperature outside was deadly, and anyone out there without proper gear wouldn't survive long. We bundled up and stepped into the freezing wind. The figure stumbled towards us, collapsing just a few yards from the station. We rushed to help, dragging them inside. It was a man, barely conscious and severely frostbitten. We stripped off his frozen clothes and wrapped him in blankets. "Where did you come from?" I asked, but he was too weak to respond. Over the next few days, we nursed him back to health. His name was Victor, and he claimed to be part of a Russian research team. But when we contacted the Russian authorities, they had no record of any such team in the area. "Something's not right," said Emma, our communications officer. "Why would he lie?" I had no answers, but the mystery only deepened. Victor became increasingly agitated, muttering in Russian and pacing the halls at night. We tried to get more information from him, but he would only say, "They're coming. We have to leave." One night, I woke to a loud crash. I grabbed my flashlight and rushed to the source of the noise. Victor had smashed the control room's main console, destroying our communication with the outside world. "Why did you do this?" I shouted, but he just stared at me with wild eyes. "They're here," he whispered, pointing towards the window. I looked outside but saw nothing. The darkness was impenetrable, and a howling wind masked any sound. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. Something was out there. We confined Victor to a room, but the damage was done. We were cut off, isolated in a way we had never been before. Over the next few days, strange things started happening. We heard footsteps on the roof, whispering voices in the corridors, and doors that slammed shut on their own. Henry was the first to crack. "We need to get out of here," he said, his face pale. "I don't care how, but we need to leave." The rest of the team agreed, fear etched on their faces. We packed what we could and prepared to make the treacherous journey to the nearest outpost, over 100 miles away. But when we went to get Victor, we found his room empty. The window was wide open, snow blowing in. "Where could he have gone?" asked Natalie, her voice trembling. "I don't know," I said, "but we can't stay here." We left the station, battling the brutal cold and unforgiving terrain. It took us 3 grueling days to reach the outpost. When we finally arrived, exhausted and frostbitten, we told our story to the authorities. They launched a search for Victor, but he was never found. To this day, I don't know what we encountered at that station. Whether it was something supernatural or just the madness of isolation, it drove me away for good. I've never returned to the Arctic, and I never will. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some places are better left behind.